It's a curiosity of millions that's finally turning into a reality. We've all wondered, what if we could have a race on the streets of India? At last, this is the day when the curiosity finally becomes something tangible, something we can see, something we can touch. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indian Racing League, round 4 at the Hyderabad Street Circuit. My name is Somal Arora, and I'm so glad that I get to present the first ever proper edition of the IRL at a street circuit, at the Hyderabad Street Circuit. It's going to be fantastic. But to talk to you more about that, I've got broadcasting royalty Sahil Chandok here with me. And Sahil, this is incredible. You can feel the energy because at last the track is ready. And we've been dreaming about it for so long. Just how do you feel about it at last?
No, it's incredible. I think, a big welcome to everyone that's watching because I think overall when you look at what we've been able to achieve through the last few weekends, Chennai has been fantastic. We know that's a great circuit. But coming to Hyderabad, seeing this circuit now finally set up and ready to go, we can hear the cars already on their way onto the circuit. It's a very, very special feeling because I think, as you said, we've all waited for this day for a long time to see a street circuit, a pure street circuit, come alive on the streets of Hyderabad. Very special as well. And for the people of Hyderabad as well, it's so unique. There's a novelty value to seeing these Wolf cars on track, to see some of the best drivers that you can find as well. International exposure, men and women from around the world turning up in Hyderabad here.
Exactly, and these are the very roads that you can drive on after the race is done, so it's incredible. But there have been other rounds of the IRL where the championship has been fantastic with some tremendous racing. And let's see who's up there in the points table. So far, Sahil, we've seen that the Blackbirds Hyderabad, the home team for this weekend, have absolutely swept the floor away.
Yeah, they've been excellent. Actually, they got that win in Chennai, which they didn't expect. You know, Akhil Rabindra, Neil Jani, Anindit Reddy, Lola, all doing a good job for them. But I think Kochi have been really impressive as well. Through Alistair Young, Nikhil Bora has been superb, Ruhan Alva, some good drives. And I'm very, very impressed with what I've seen from the Goa Aces. Young Amir Syed and Sohail Shah. You've got Gabriella doing a decent job as well. And then Speed Demons Delhi for me were the team of last weekend because they were dead last. I think they had scored 15 points coming into that weekend. And suddenly they find themselves more than 100 points up. And I think that's a really, really terrific effort. And that's what you want to see. You want to see every team come in with a few wins, a few big points, and that's what we got in the last weekend. We had 3 different races where we had 3 different winners, and that to me is what this IRL has to be about.
And a lot of young Indian drivers, like Shahan Ali Mohsin got a big win along with Akash Gowda for Speed Demons Delhi. That's the kind of stuff you want to see, right? Indian drivers mixing it up with the foreigners, and these are foreigners who have done so much on the world stage, by the way, and winning on merit.
At the end of the day, Somil, it is an Indian league for Indian drivers. Let's remember that, right? It is the Indian Racing League. And to me, that, therefore, is the essence of it, right? Young 17-year-old, 18-year-old Indians who are coming to the fore, taking that space in the spotlight and actually making it count. I think Shahan Ali Mohsin, perfect example, lights the flag win for him in Chennai. He knows that track really well. But to still deliver a win ahead of John Lancaster, keep all the pressure at bay, brilliant. And here is that glimpse we've been waiting for. The cars on track here in Hyderabad on the street circuit, powering out. That tail is going to slide a few times as they get to grips with this new circuit.
It's brilliant, Sahil. I really didn't think this would ever happen. I mean, I've been dreaming about it as a kid. What if we could have cars race on Indian streets? For a couple of seconds, it doesn't feel like India, but then you pinch yourself and realize this is the new India. We have a street circuit on the very streets where you could drive every day. This is unreal, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we've got some great seats in the comm box as well, just over our shoulders, having cars go past the last chicane heading into the final corner. But these cars are good-looking cars as well. I think it adds to the value of what the IRL is because for the thousands that throng the city streets and have come in large numbers to watch the track and watch the track come alive with these cars, they're really good-looking cars. They sound incredible, so you get that pulsating feel through your veins. There's a certain air about this circuit as well and the energy around these guys that has been superb to watch. So the exhilarating feel of motorsport has certainly hit the city of Nizams.
Absolutely, it has. And they've built an amazing, amazing circuit. As I've constantly mentioned, public roads. But it's fast, Sohail. We can take a look at the track profile in the middle of the city. But the average speed over here, they go to some really fast corners.
Yeah, and I think let's just take a look at that circuit, right? You've got to look at the layout here, 17 corners of this circuit. But it's just over 2.8 Ks. You've got overtaking opportunities. And to me, that is what is important. As you take a look at this flowing turn 1, it leads into a long straight into turn 2, and there lies an opportunity under the braking zone into turn 2. It's a sharp hairpin And that for me is going to be a place where a lot of drivers will look to lunge down the inside. It's a question of who's got the guts to break last. I think you've also got turn 6, turn 7 possibilities there to pull a move off as well. There's a few action zones, as we pointed out in this circuit. The guys at Driven have done a great job to put this circuit together. And I just think overall you've got the opportunity on a street circuit to actually get some good overtaking display.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlike what most people would think, right? On a street circuit, you normally think of tight circuits, not really a lot of space. But here, the cars are so narrow, they're so light, that you have a lot of space to go out there and pass. And so the drivers have been very curious about it. What if you be at 100%? How good will the racing be? And that, I think, I'm very curious to see, Suhail.
You know, there's a lot of these drivers who've driven across city circuits across the world. You think of Macau, Pau, Monaco. A lot of these guys have driven there. And I think when you think about the future of Indian motorsport in some sense as well, this is just a start. Getting a street circuit on the streets of Hyderabad, it's a great start. We've seen that it can be pulled off now. And it just sets the tone, sets the platform for what is to come in the years ahead.
And this also inspires so many drivers as well, because most of the drivers that you're getting to see here, most the Indian ones, they're almost 16, 17. Yeah. I can already think of Ruhan Alva, there is Nikhil Bora, a couple of others with a similar age as well. These are proper youngsters. They can't even drive a car on the road, but over here, they're amazing in the way what to do.
Yeah, I love that. You know, last weekend we saw Bianca Bustamante as well, 16, 17 years old. She's come in from the Philippines, put in 2 incredible drives. You mentioned a few of the youngsters from India, Ruhan Alva, Shahan, Amir Syed. You've got guys like Akash Gowda, Nikhil Bora. I mean, the names go on, and I think these are guys who are just starting their careers. A few of them haven't even raced internationally yet. So for them to have that experience, to rub shoulders with the likes of Neil Jani or a Gabby or so many others who've been around the world and sort of plied their trade across disciplines in LMP2s, in LMP1s, in sports car racing. That to me is what the experience is all about. Mixing cultures as well, sharing a car and data. It's a fabulous experience for them.
There's going to be so much to learn, so much to do. But folks, we'll be back with more coverage of the IRL after a short break. So, be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indian Racing League right here at the Hyderabad Street Circuit. We've had an amazing couple of rounds at the Chennai International Circuit, the Madras International Circuit actually. But let's actually talk more about that because there, Suhail, we saw a grand total of 6 races. But in the last weekend, in those 3 races, there was just loads of action. And let's start off with sprint race 1 because in the middle of that race, we got a storm.
But I think
literal storm.
Yeah, firstly, as you said, I think we had everything last weekend. We had the drama of the rain. We had drama on track itself. We had fantastic overtaking. We had some really daring drives from some youngsters. And as you said, in that first race, sprint 1, I thought Alistair just kept his nose clean at the start and got going from there on. Overall, I just thought it was a very, very good race. Unfortunately, curtailed by the rain, but very impressive drives.
Indeed. Let's actually have a better look at that particular race. Let's go to the highlights to see what really happened there.
Yeah, this is the start I was talking about. Alistair Young getting off the line quite cleanly. You also had Akhil Rabindra in that Hyderabad Blackbirds side doing a great job initially. And he was looking good for a podium all along until the rain came. But to me, actually, Somil, at the back of that pack, the battle between those two Chennai drivers, that was one to watch out for. In the middle of the pack, it was Rishon Rajiv and Ruhan Alva that brought the race alive. But throughout the first few corners, throughout the first few laps, we talked about how keeping your nose clean in Chennai is important. And this is that battle I was talking about. Rishon Rajiv hunting down Ruhan Alva, not once, but twice. The long stretch into turn 4 made a really good move into the long right-hander. He replicated it another time a few laps later, and that to me was one of the more impressive drives from Rishon Rajiv.
And all the Chennai drivers, as you mentioned, had a great scrap. It was scary for the home fans. They were literally on their nerves, but there was a red flag because the rain came right in the middle of the race. And while this happened, Akhil Rabindra for the Green Blackbirds Hyderabad car from second, Suhail, made a very uncharacteristic error. He spun out.
He did, and I think it was really unfortunate. And he was ruining that after the race. He felt it, but luckily for him, because it goes back a lap, he did still classify in 5th. So it still gave the Blackbirds Hyderabad team plenty of points. They needed those points, so they got a 3rd place finish through Lola. They got a 5th place finish through Akhil Rabindra. So that's a double points finish for them. But a brilliant race for young Alistair Young. He was over the moon. He didn't realize that he had won the race till we had actually pointed it out from the comm box. So for him, he had this beaming smile on his face. Suddenly he was in the arms of his engineers. And it was so nice to see young Alistair Young chip off the old block of Alex Young, come into his own, do a good job in India. He wanted the win. He was disappointed to miss out the previous day. And for him, such an important result in what is a young career as well.
And Alistair Young, folks, wasn't even meant to be here. He literally got a replacement call on the Thursday before the first weekend. He flew down, and what a drive for the Godspeed Kochi team. And it's a young team, Suhail, and they're doing so well right now as well.
They are. It's a really young side, but I think it's a side that is brimming with excitement. They're looking good on the points table. If they have a good weekend here, I think that's the only side that could really threaten the likes of the Blackbirds Hyderabad. Remember, there is no Neil Jani this weekend, so they are lacking a little bit of experience, and that might bring Godspeed Kochi into the mix, and that for them is an opportunity.
Indeed it is. Now, folks, we also have to talk about race 2 that happened on Sunday morning last time out, and that was a great one. Let's have a quick look at what went down over there as well.
Yeah, race 2 again, Shahan Ali Mohsin, John Lancaster. And when we were talking to them on the grid, when you spoke to them, Somil, I thought there were a bit more nerves in the voice of Shahan Ali Mohsin. He was worried about his gears. He even thought about taking a 5-place grid penalty. He did not take it, and that to me was a great move in the end because it kept him out in front. The car didn't give him issues. John Lancaster just did not have the pace to threaten him. And every time he got close enough, Shahan Ali Mohsin did not relent. He kept pulling off a large enough lead. Nikhil Bora drove a great race as well. I've got to say I feel most though for Bianca Bustamante because she drove a thrilling race, kept ahead of Nikhil Bora the entire time. She came under so much pressure, but unfortunately it was a false start and she had to give the few places away. Mitch Gilbert drove a brilliant race as well, starting at the back of the grid and pounding his way through to 4th at the end for the Speed Demons Delhi. So overall some very good drives, but Shahan Ali Mohsin was the most impressive of them all.
And when you consider the context, it makes it even more impressive because Speed Demons Delhi barely got any points in that first weekend in Chennai, but there they were taking the flag ahead of a very experienced John Lancaster. So what a performance by Shahan, an overall team effort because his teammate Akash Gowda got the pole position, and what emotions, the raw celebration. What a tough time, but then they claimed that win incredibly well.
I think this moment for me as well with his dad, very, very important because I've seen a lot of young motorsport kids and their dads, my brother included when he was coming through the ranks. You know how much fathers sacrifice for their kids in this sport. It's not an easy sport. There's so much that goes behind the scenes into producing a motorsports champion. And Shahan Ali Mohsin is a young man with a really bright future. Good points on the board for Chennai. I think they didn't have the best weekend coming in for the Turbo Riders at home. They had a lot of fan support in Chennai. So a good result for them. And Nikhil Bora and Mitch Gilbert, they sort of moved up a notch because of obviously Bianca's penalty that dropped her down the order. So overall, I think we got a bit of everything. We got everything we could have asked for because we know that the Madras International Circuit is so steeped in history that we wanted a solid weekend of racing, and we got just that.
And it was fantastic because most of the young drivers delivered all of the action. That I felt was incredible. You mentioned Bianca Bustamante.
Yeah.
She defended so well. And over the course of the last couple of weekends, she, folks, gained a second and a half. That in racing terms is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, when we spoke to her after the race as well, the poor girl was sobbing by the podium. She thought she had a podium, and when that was stripped away from her, for good reason, she unfortunately had a false start by millimeters, and that is racing. But she was distraught. She was absolutely distraught. You saw, a couple of the other drivers come around to her. Ollie Webb had his arm around her just saying, don't worry. It was the drive that counted. You'll have plenty more opportunities. And that's what these young drivers have to remember. The girls and boys that are here in India driving in the IRL. It's a stepping stone to a lot more in their careers. There will be opportunities to get that podium. For Bianca Bustamante, from what we saw last weekend, there is so much in store. And we know she's a W Series Academy driver. I think there's a big, big future for her too.
I'm excited to see how she performs this weekend, but also her drive was incredible in the feature race. And oh my goodness, what a race that was. Weird, wacky, wild. Let's take a quick look at what happened over there for the feature race. And there's Suhail. We got a dry start, and what a crazy start because everyone was bunched up so quickly.
Yeah, it was a really good start. And I think the combination of Shahan Ali Mohsin and Akash Gowda were always going to be the ones to watch. You also had the Chennai Turbo Riders, John Lancaster, Sandeep, really good from them too. But overall, it was such a crazy race. I mean, we got a bit of everything. Never would we have thought that the Blackbirds Hyderabad team would have come out on top at the very end. But it was that experience of Neil Jani ploughing down on Sandeep Kumar, who actually just gave in to the pressure. When he saw Neil Jani in his mirrors, something clicked, something gave way. And unfortunately, towards the back end of that race, he hit the bump going into the first corner, the quick C1, and it meant that Neil Jani got ahead. There was a lot of confusion towards the back end of that race, the race finishing pretty much under the safety car, but it meant big, big points for these men in green, the men and women at the Blackbirds Hyderabad side, but Neil Jani and Akhil Rabindra taking a win in the end. Shahan Ali Mohsin and Akash Gowda for the Speed Demons Delhi, racking up some big points.
Indeed, and now Bangalore Speedsters also eventually ended up getting their podium, but there was a bit of a kerfuffle middle down the order because of that safety car. But one thing about Blackbirds Hyderabad, Sohail, they timed their pit stop to perfection. They got one extra lap from Akhil that eventually helped them jump, what was it, 7 cars?
Yeah.
And that's how they got the win.
Akhil put in 2 purple sectors in that lap, put in 2 back-to-back fastest laps, and I think that was a great move from him because it's not easy under pressure when the team needs you to deliver those quick laps on track. Akhil Rabindra did that, got the jump therefore in the pit lane. But for Bianca Bustamante too, she was wondering after that race, am I going to get this podium stripped away from me as well? So for the Bangalore Speedsters, I think that was a very important result. For Bianca's confidence, a very good result as well. But also for Amir Syed and Sohail Shah to finish 4th, I think that for them will give them such a boost going forward.
And they are such a good team, so fast. But let's wait and see what they do this weekend. And that we shall see after a short break. So folks, we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indian Racing League at the Hyderabad Street Circuit at last. And this weekend, we're seeing so many incredible drivers come out here and get to grips with the Hyderabad Street Circuit. It's going to be an action-packed weekend overall. But Suhail, I want to know your thoughts. Just what is the one thing you're most excited for this weekend overall?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. For me, I'm actually looking forward to the Hyderabad Blackbird side getting a proper fight to the title race. I think Kochi have a great shot at it. Goa have an outside shot at it as well. So I just think, when you see all the camaraderie on track and away from it, they're having a great time with each other, understanding the Indian culture as well for a lot of the international drivers. And I think for them, it's a great swan song. Have a blast, enjoy Hyderabad, great food, great ambience, great circuit, and just leave the IRL on a high.
And Suhail, what do you make of all the drivers? All of them are so young. I mean, most of them, but there's also a mix of experienced ones. You've been going around chatting to everybody. Just who do you think has, I think, the most potential to go out there and win? Because we see the Blackbirds Hyderabad team doing incredibly well. But what do you think is their success, according to you?
Well, I think it's been tricky because you see a few different drivers. I think Sohail Shah is still exploring that potential. We saw some great laps from him. Nikhil Bora, for me, has been extremely quick at times. I think you've got the likes of Amir Syed, who's shown a bit of pace. Akhil Rabindra, for me, is one of the more consistent young Indian drivers. He's got that international experience under his belt. He knows how to hold on to a lead. Shahan Ali Mohsin now has a win under his belt, so I think he'll be great to watch. So coming off that last weekend, suddenly it's an open playing field. You no longer have just the Hyderabad side that are the favourites coming into this weekend. So that to me is what excites me about this one.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. But actually, overall, in this paddock, it's been amazing to talk to all the drivers, meet with them, have fun. But we also had all of our Indian Racing League fans having a meet and greet with the drivers. So, what did it go like? Let's find out.
Namaste.
As you can tell, we're all having a lot of fun here. You know, IRL's been great. It's been a great opportunity for all the drivers here. So stay tuned for more shenanigans and yeah, enjoy the show.
Thank to Indian Racing League.
You gotta say Don ko pakatna, okay?
Don Pakata,
Mushkil,
Mushkil,
hi nahi, namumkin hai.
Namumkin hai.
So if I have to choose a spicy food, I just need to travel here to India.
My best teammate, but normally my driver coach.
Yeah, I mean, one of the words I picked up is Vanakkam. That's about all I got.
I just love Alistair Young. He's the life of every party. But on the whole, these drivers have been in India for the last 4 weeks. And so many of them, Suhail, are in the country for the first time. Yeah. So many youngsters, what do you think it's like for them? Because they've not been in the country for a long time. New culture, new language, new everything. New car, new circuit. How have they been adapting to everything so far?
For a moment, let's just forget the car, the circuit and everything else about the on-track stuff, because you just saw there what they're like off-circuit. They're really lapping up the Indian culture. We got time to spend with them, have a few drinks with these guys as well, and they seem to be loving life in India. I think for a lot of them, as you said, coming into India for the first time, not quite knowing what to expect, they've been thrown into the deep end and they're swimming. They're loving it. They're trying all the food. They're sampling the culture. They're going around to different parts of each city to explore it as well. And I think we've had no Delhi belly yet. We've had no rumbling tummies. It's been pretty clean so far. But I think the nice thing about the IRL, unlike many other forms of motorsport, is that you're not pipped against your teammate. In most forms of motorsport, you go up against the teammate on the other side of the pit garage. This time around, you're working with them. So there's that extra bit of camaraderie that comes in. There's so much fun between the drivers as well. A lot of them around the similar age groups as well. And I think that kind of helps because they're sort of all exploring the unknown together. So it's been a fun ride for all of us to get to know them better too.
And they've been going around the country everywhere. In fact, they've had so many good things to say about Hyderabad. And what's the point if you come to Hyderabad and don't go to the Charminar? So let's have a look at what happened when all the drivers went to the Charminar and had some fun over there.
We just came from Charminar. It was a great experience, lots of people, lots of bargaining. I got a necklace finally. It was lots of fun, just seeing a different culture, seeing another part of India is very nice.
I've always been inclined into creatives. You know, I want to be an architect, so I feel like looking into all these places, you know, going in there, I get to see all these amazing architecture pieces. You know, like we got to go to Charminar, and I just saw the building instantly. I was just so captivated with all the cravings, the inscriptions written on it. I mean, it really is very beautiful. We bought some necklaces, so yeah, hopefully my mom would like it. Yeah, I went off and I looked at some of the things that you can buy, which is so pretty. I look at the bangles and everything. I even got some sweet corn and some of those delicacies that they have. I didn't know what they were, but they're very tasty. So yeah.
Amazing to see all the drivers having a lot of fun, especially all the girls, because there's the fun fact about the IRL. Every single team has a female racing driver, and all of them are keeping up with their male counterparts, because in motorsport, it's all, at least historically, looked as a men's world, not anymore thanks to the IRL, and it's incredible to see them having so much fun out there as well, Suhail.
Yeah, and they've gone toe-to-toe with the boys as well, and I think to me that's really impressive. Also the big aspect to them being here, you know, I was catching up with Fabienne and also Bianca, and they said, India feels safe. We feel very safe here. You know, there's been no sort of feeling of us wanting to go back home, needing to go back quickly. I know Nicole's dad is traveling with her as well, and obviously keeping an eye on proceedings, and she seems to be having a great time with the Chennai side. So overall, I think they're here, they're really enjoying the experience, because I think when you think of the IRL, it's not just about the competitiveness on track. It's about giving these boys and girls an experience they'll never forget. Season after season, I think we'll only see the series grow to greater strengths. You'll see a lot of these drivers ply their trade around the world in different categories and different disciplines across the globe. But to be here, to enjoy Indian culture the way they do, and when it comes down to being on track, giving the guys a proper run for their money, that to me is what really impresses me about those three girls.
And it's amazing that they're here to learn as well, because I can already think of Nicole and Bianca, barely 16, 17. Where else would you get a chance to learn so much? But folks, we'll be back with more action for the IRL after a short break. Be right back.